Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Kayla Sierra, hosted by yours truly. I hope April has been kind to you, all of you guys. It's super crazy to think that we're already at the end. Like, this is the last full week of April, and next week we'll be starting May. But time flies when you're having fun and when you're reading good books. As you guys see in the title, I'll be doing a book review over all the books I read this month. I know for the April TBR, I have 4 books. I'm currently reading Oathbound, and I really can't do a review if I haven't finished it. So I'm going to just do the first 3 books that I did finish this month, and I'm super excited. I can already feel it in my bones that this is going to be a doozy one, so lock in and let's get started. The first book is going to be Turned Skyward by Rebecca Yarros, and first we have to do our... Honestly, guys, I was super surprised at how many tabs I was doing. And like, I showed my mom at one point before I even finished reading it, and I was like, look at all the pretty tabs. This book has 342 pages. I read it from the 4th to the 5th, and I gave it 4 stars. Like always, I'm going to do my best not to give any major spoilers of what happens in the book, but I'm going to say what I expected to happen and kind of what I was not hoping to happen, but I was really like this. I had a great feeling that it was where the story was gonna go, because when I first got this book from Ollie's for like $2.99, period, I thought that the girl was gonna die based off of the synopsis. So don't come for me saying, oh my gosh, Kayla, no. That's what I thought was gonna happen, because Miss Rebecca likes to kill people. Let's be honest. If you've read any of Rebecca Yarros' books, the characters who you fall in love with, she likes to off them for some reason. So I was preparing myself to not get attached to this girl in fear that she wasn't gonna be making it at the end of the book. But I'm glad to say that did not happen. This book follows a love story between Paisley and Jagger. Paisley is a young woman who suffers from a heart condition that took her sister's life. And throughout the book, she is faced with the decision of either getting a pacemaker or undergoing a really risky surgery. And her family and her friends are like hounding her about this too. Like, they want her to do the they want her to get the pacemaker. Old girl doesn't want the pacemaker, and she's just like, I want to live my life for me. Yes, my sister died from this condition, but I don't want to live the rest of my life like the next day could be my last. I want to live freely, boldly, as I should as a young woman. And her family really wasn't having any of that. They were like, take your meds, don't do anything risky, and basically stay in this little pretty bubble we want to put you in. And it was hard to read at some points. I was like, y'all are making it really hard to even like y'all at this point. Jagger is, when you hear that name, that's basically whatever image you see in your head right now, that's him. Honestly, I laughed at his name on the back when I first read the synopsis, and throughout the book, all I could hear in my head was, I got the moves like Jagger, I got the moves like Jagger, I got the moves like Jagger. That's all I heard. And honestly, I was ready for him to like start breakdancing or something. It didn't happen, but I was expecting it. Paisley and Jagger meet in Florida on a beach. Paisley gets thrown into the water by some idiot, and sis has a heart condition, and I believe it says that she couldn't swim. So of course she's screaming and hollering for help, and Jagger sees her, and he comes and he rescues her. He takes her to the urgent care, and that's kind of where their first initial attraction is blooming between each other. But Paisley lets him know that she has a boyfriend. And let's pause on the boyfriend. Let's take a little second and talk about him. First of all, her boyfriend Carter was her sister's best friend. Okay? You with me? Carter had feelings for the sister. Stay with me. Carter called Paisley her sister's name more than once When I say, I was like, sis, if you don't break up with this man. And her parents were like, oh, he's perfect. He's the one for you. You guys are going to get married and all this stuff. And it was only because he was he was so a part of the family, because he was great friends with her sister. And so them being together just kind of made sense. But then also they knew that he was going to be on their side and pushing her to get the pacemaker. Sis was really trying to convince herself she was happy. And honestly, I could tell from that first like family dinner in the book, I was like, this isn't gonna work. I feel like when characters are faced with like big decisions and stuff like this is happening to them, where they have an illness or whatever's going on in their life, and they have literally no one around them who is supporting them in what they want and is basically treating them as if they're not sane enough to make those decisions, the door. Like a page out of Grease, Jagger and Paisley don't ever really expect to see each other again. Paisley goes back to Alabama and is at school with her family and everything. And unbeknownst to her little side piece man, not really, her fatal attraction, Jagger, is at the same exact flight school in Alabama that I believe her father is like the sergeant over, but also his rival, her boyfriend, goes to. When Carter found out about like Paisley and Jagger's friendship, because Jagger, once he met Paisley again, he was like, I'll teach you how to swim. Like, no funny business. I'll keep my hands to myself or whatever, but like, I'll help you learn how to swim and everything. And she was accepting of that. And so that's what they do. But when Carter found out, and her daddy, it was like this man was the worst person ever. I was like, what's y'all beef? And her father has a problem with Jagger only because Jagger pulled a little innocent prank and moved like some statue of a polar bear onto their lawn, and her daddy got all pissy about it. Y'all didn't think that was funny? And come to find out, Carter snitched on Jagger. This book is messy. Paisley's doctor has told her how much time she has left on this earth, and she is determined to complete a list of activities that she has on a bucket list, and Jagger's right there helping her accomplish these things. And honestly, each activity kind of got crazier by the second. And one thing I will say, for a girl who has a heart condition, some of the things that she was doing, it was like, do you want to die today? Like, I know she wanted to feel the thrill and the excitement of being able to actually live like people who don't suffer from those sorts of illnesses. That's fine. That is 100% understandable. But and also, when the people you are with don't know that you have said condition, they can't be like, oh, let me just really like watch out for you to make sure everything's good. Like, keep an extra eye on you. There's nothing wrong with that. When I say that was probably the one thing in this book that I was completely frustrated with. Well, no, that's one of the things, because like I said, her family, trash. I didn't care for Will either, but we'll get back to that in a second. But I was probably like 71% into the book, and she still hadn't told him. She didn't tell him anything, and it wasn't totally like her. Jagger also had something that like he was keeping from her as well. You really can't compare the two secrets. I feel like his secret was a bit more understandable, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm finna die secret. It was like family stuff, so I could understand that. And he was trying to ease her into it, and in a way he kind of was telling her about it. He didn't find out that old girl was sick until she actually like had an episode, and he was freaking out like, oh my gosh, like what's going on with her. It honestly made everything coming up to that point, and then also when she expressed to him like the decisions between like the pacemaker and then the other surgery, for him to really kind of side with her parents and everything, like get the pacemaker or whatever. And she's like, well, you're not even listening to me. But it's like, you haven't given this man really any time to sit and digest knowing that his girlfriend, because at this point they are together, has a serious medical condition. I'm just worried about, I want to spend more time with you. And if this thing is going to give you more time, then yeah, I want you to choose this. She honestly, and I understand her frustration, because if anything, he was the main person who was like, Paisley's a grown woman. Paisley is old enough to make her own decisions. It's Paisley's body. It's Paisley's heart condition. She should be able to decide what she's going through or whatever. Up until that point, at least, like, during that conversation, he was kind of like, okay, like, I'm listening. But after a while, he was like, get the pacemaker. Something else I really didn't care for in this book was how they kept calling her Lily. Just saying it is like, no. I don't remember how old she is exactly, but sis is in her 20s. She's not a teenager. She's not a child. And Will kept calling her Lily. I think her mom called her Lily at some point too. And she was just like, I hate when they call me that. And then Jagger got onto it and he was like, why are they calling her Lily or whatever? I was like, thank you, because y'all call her Lee or call her Paisley. But Paisley got on them because she got on her mama and Will, because it was like, y'all don't call me by my actual name because you're afraid to call me by my sister's name. I was really proud of her for that. One thing that I did absolutely love for Paisley is that she did stick up for herself. She didn't just let everybody walk all over her and tell her what she was finna do and just do it. She was like, this is my life. And obviously, like, I'm upset that my sister passed away from this thing, but that doesn't mean that now my life is now lesser than, or I can't live my life the way I want to because y'all are all afraid to lose me too. While me and Will we have our discrepancies, I do like him as a character, and I feel like his intentions for Paisley were in the right place. Like I said, like, he was Paisley's sister's best friend and had a lot of love for Paisley. So their relationship was kind of really just based on like friendship. There wasn't a lot of passion between them, which is something she gets angry about, because she's like, for my holy and sanctified people, or my young listeners, just close your ears for a second. She's upset that she's never really enjoyed herself during sex because he's always been afraid that he's gonna hurt her. So they don't really do it that much, but then if it happens, it's just kind of like, okay, like, where's the passion? Where's the fire? Like, there's nothing in our relationship that's really fueling like this flame that's supposed to be between us or anything like that, which is understandable, because it's already bad enough that your family's treating you like this, but then your boyfriend will hardly even touch you. Thanks, you want me to die without having a proper orgasm. Perfect. Since Paisley and Will are dating throughout a good chunk of the book, her developing feelings and whatnot for Jagger, we were getting into love triangle territory, and we all know how I feel about that. But it was also very kind of upsetting because she does cheat on Will when her and Jagger kiss for the first time. She's still in that relationship, but kudos to her, because she goes and tells Will like immediately, and of course Will is like, oh, you're never gonna see him again, da 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 da. Okay, man, whatever. Something that I struggle with when I'm reading romance stories is making sure that the love really seems genuine between the two people. Sometimes I feel like the characters are kind of like more focused on physical attraction than like that emotional attachment that is built when you have feelings for a person. I can't say that it was mostly physical, But what I will say is sometimes I get a little like when male characters are like overly like, oh yes baby, I love you, and it's not I don't know what it is about it. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, there's nothing wrong with loving your girl. Love your girl down and be loud and proud about it. But and also, like, it was some of his wording and how he was like addressing her. Sometimes I feel like it's giving, you can't breathe without me, which is a real thing. I know that's not like anything fake. It is a true emotion that people feel. I just find it very suffocating. That's what I'm trying to get at. I feel like he was very suffocating. Not that Paisley felt that, but that's just the vibe that I was getting from reading him. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Paisley and Jagger. There are 4 other books of this series, so I will be excited to read those. Their story is really good, but for me, I just don't like how long it took for Jagger to find out that she was suffering from such a serious heart condition. And I feel like some of their relationship, it wasn't built in the best way possible, because she had a boyfriend, and I can't condone cheating. I can't. It was emotional cheating throughout the book, basically, because he had feelings for her even though he wasn't in a relationship, but she was starting to feel those feels for him while in a relationship. But overall, I did really enjoy this book. I will definitely have to keep my eyes open for the other ones to finish the series out. The next book, and probably the prettiest book that I own, is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. And come on guys, like, let's take a moment and admire this cover. Like, you show me another book that's better than this. This book has 400 pages. I read it from the 12th to the 15th, and I gave it 5 stars. This book follows Clarion before she's Queen of Pixie Hollows, and Mallory, who is the warden of the Winter Woods. He's not the Lord just yet. We know that he's the Lord in Secret of the Wings in that movie. What I very much enjoyed was seeing how they both were willing to take risks for the people that they loved. And while there was a lot of misinformation spread specifically about the winter fairies, a lot of the warm season fairies were told how cold and detached winter fairies were because they lived in such a harsh environment, but that wasn't who they were at all. And it's really interesting to see how curious Clarion was, because we see that same curiosity in Tinkerbell and Secret of the Wings. And honestly, I couldn't have done anything different about this book. I think Mallory was written just how he is portrayed in the movie. Honestly, he's not a man of a lot of words, and Clarion was actually really exciting to read about because you don't see her a lot in the movies, but she's very refined and, you know, posture up, very, very queen. And here she's still a young girl getting ready for her coronation, and she's full of those bubbly emotions and everything that her predecessor was trying to like bottle up within her. And like, you kind of need to let go of these things, these childish things almost, because you are meant for something greater. So you can't act out of emotion. You can't do anything by the whim of your pants, because all these people are reliant on you to ensure that everything goes right in Pixie Hollow. So Clarion had a lot of pressure that was put on her. And so to see her branch out as these issues and these problems were going on, and these creatures were going about wreaking havoc in the warm seasons after doing what they did in the winter woods, and she crosses over into winter and starts trying to learn more about Mallory and his people, and she comes to find out that they're not who she was taught they were. She finds a warmness in them despite the cold weather around them. I don't have a lot to say about this book. It was just wholesome for me, and I know I said this in the Bookish Bingo video, to continue on in something that I grew up on with the Disney fairies and learn about Clarion and Mallory's relationship, because that was the biggest thing in The Secret of the Wings, was like, you can't cross over into the seasons because you're not made to be able to survive in that environment. And so it's always the danger of your wings breaking, and as we see in that movie, Mallory has a broken wing, so he can no longer fly. So seeing what happened and what caused him to snap his wing, honestly, after Clarion was just hobbling over to the winter woods as many times as she did, the one time Mallory did it, and it resulted in his wing snapping. And when I say this man didn't regret it one bit, he was like, and I do it again. Honestly, he made my list of bookish boyfriends, because there's something about giving up something that makes you who you are. Like, you are a fairy. Everything kind of relies on you being able to fly, you having your wings. And so now you can't do the one thing that makes you who you are. I just loved his dedication to her. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was so refreshing and heartwarming to see Clarion and Mallory's story after just kind of getting a glimpse of it in the movie. So I'm super excited I was finally able to read it. Last but certainly not least is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This book is 382 pages. I read it from April 16th to the 20th, and I gave it 5 stars. You might have thought the review for Eyes Turned Skyward was long. Buckle in, get a snack, because we're gonna talk about a few things in this here book. I said in my last video, I am a very big fan of the Hunger Games, and so Hamish's story, it has been one that I've wanted to read for a very long time. Before it was announced that she was writing it, just from the movies, it was like, I want to know what he went through his Hunger Games and just who he was as a person, because we see how he's portrayed in the movies, and like what he's gone through is very evident in the way that he carries himself, the way that he talks, and how he mentors Peeta and Katniss. So I was completely over the moon when Suzanne came out and she said that she was writing Hamish's story, and even more that there's a movie for him now coming out next year. I say all of that, and I had all those feelings because I knew a little bit about Hamish's story. I knew very minute details, kind of what everybody kind of knew, because it wasn't a secret about who he lost after his games and what went on. But reading the contents of this book and actually almost living through it just how he did, that felt so personal in a way that I can't even really describe. Hamish was born on Reaping Day, so that always has carried some sort of weight on him. This is a quarter quell. It's the 50th Hunger Games. It means that it's a bigger production, and how they reap the kids is different. So in this year, they are reaping twice as many children. So that means there's 2 boys and 2 girls. I actually was like, okay, like I knew Hamish ended up getting reaped, but reading it, another guy's name was called. So I was like, how does Hamish end up being one of the guys in the games if old dude's name was called? And then I kept reading and I found out why, and I was like, so you're the reason why my man went through all of that. Regardless, I just really love how throughout the whole book you just see so much of Katniss and Hamish. I think that was probably one of my favorite parts, was seeing how alike they were, and then knowing how their relationship is now of course, 24 years later, and him mentoring her and him kind of being like a father figure almost to her since her father has passed was something I wasn't expecting, but I really enjoyed seeing this sort of like brighter side to Haymitch and his relationship with his friends and his girlfriend, his family, everybody in District 12. One of the highlights is seeing how much Haymitch loves Lenore Dove, and he dotes on this girl hard. Like the way he's like, my girl, my girl, my girl, the love of my life. And let's talk about it, because I love you like all fire. That might be like top tier line now. Like I've never heard anything like that. There's so much pure love that they share. What I will say honestly too, learning that Mags and Wirus were his mentors for his Hunger Games also brings a new meaning for like when Katniss was like, she wanted them to be her allies. Wirus, Mags, and Beetee, honestly, those are three characters that I also really love in the movies, and this just deepened my love for them, how much they cared for Haymitch and all of the kids in District 12, Wyatt, Luella, and Maisley. But Mr. President, Mr. Cornelius Snow, and I'm aware his name is pronounced Coriolanus, but I think he's a corny, bitter, hateful, never gonna find love man. So his name is going to be Cornelius until I decide to give him some props, which will be never, because the acts that he committed against Haymitch in this book is like, oh my gosh. I thought he was deranged in like the movies and even like in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Sure, he's a little in the head for sure. Like we see that. But to see him, that was when he was with Lucy Gray. That was the 10th Hunger Games. It's been 40 years. 4 decades. And when I say this man is the most hateful person I've ever read in a book, I don't know how to even like describe it. Suzanne Collins writes villains so good. And honestly, it's a joke within the book talk world, because when the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out and people were watching the movies and stuff, people were like sipping for Snow and like his character and like, oh, he's so cute, da 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 da, or whatever. And Miss Collins said, I'm gonna remind you who President Snow is. And now look at y'all, because honestly, yeah, the actor is attractive. The actor is attractive, but Snow has always been number one villain, hater, enemy, op, whatever words you want to use. He's not a good person. And she had to remind us of that. And honestly, she could have did that without hurting my feelings. But the sick thing about it is the same way they all, Haymitch included, used Katniss to be the face of their rebellion and their voice in their Mockingjay. That's what they were trying to do to Haymitch. They thought they had found their kid to be that spark and to be that voice to finally get through to the Capitol and the districts to stop the Hunger Games. I came to know and understand why Max doesn't talk, why Wirus is a little weird, Beetee too, and it's just really sad, because these people having to pay for sins that their ancestors from years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago caused. I'm like, we didn't have anything to do with that, and yet on that reaping day, they're all so afraid that their names are going to get called and they're going to die in the arena. Because let's remember that, especially in District 12, we only have one victor, because Snow wiped every mention of Lucy Gray from history. So Haymitch was the first victor really since the beginning of the Hunger Games. until 24 years later when Katniss and Peeta won their games. So just imagine how alone he was after he pushed everybody away, after he won his games, and what happens with him. Honestly, I have a few ops in this book. Snow is a forever op. I have a problem with flamingos and squirrels now, and you will never catch me eating another gumdrop again. That's all I'm gonna say. To sum all of that up, I absolutely adored this book. There's so much raw emotion in here, and how all of the characters are portrayed, and how each of them has a very distinct and strong voice in who they are as a person and what they are trying to get across, in their purpose that they play in this book as well. Honestly, I don't have any notes. I know who Suzanne Collins is as a writer. She never misses, and honestly, Sunrise on the Reaping is probably going to be my favorite out of all of the Hunger Game books. Honestly, guys, there's so many other things that I could say about each and every one of these books, but I promised I'd try and keep it concise and short, and I feel like I did that to the best of my abilities without holding back too much. If you guys are wanting to know more about any of these books and what my thoughts were, you can go on my Instagram and I'll post a more detailed review on there. If you want to know more about these books and these authors, I will include the author websites in the bio below. Just like that, we are at the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to turn on the post notifications so you know exactly when I upload, and share this with all your friends. I've been Kayla Sierra, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!